All right, thank you very much, Calder. Great casting for sure, but also a great performance by Renovatio 1. They just didn't go to this battleground and take some to the face. They actually put up their fists and put up a good defense here for sure. But guys, as the game went on, it got a little bit more one-sided. At which point of the game do you actually think MVP Black took control?
I mean, there was definitely some key points. I mean, they got some early kills, but as you said, the experience was still there, and they were able to hang with them for a little bit. But the minute one thing fell apart, it seemed like it just kept cascading from there.
That's the story of Cursed Hollow. Like, for me, when I looked at it, it's like the 2 kills just before the initial boss that they took. Renovatio knew well enough to try and take their own boss, but then they were very cautious of the fact that Zeratul was there, and unfortunately the boss leashed for them in that point. I could even hear a verbal sigh from the camp of Renovatio as it did leash. You want to still contest it even though Zeratul's there, even though they know you're taking it, but it's difficult, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, Renovatio, though, they didn't make a whole lot of mistakes that we would expect from such a lesser-known team, maybe, necessarily. Let's actually take a look at the first replay, because we've got something cool prepared for you guys. Jho is going to be the man when it comes to the highlights today.
We've got some really cool stuff to look at. As we can already go ahead and pause this right here, you're going to see 2 things. Down in the bottom, we've got the Mighty Gust here. And on the other side, we're going to have a Void Prison come in up at the top. And we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and run this real slow as this is going to play out. As everything goes in up top, I think this might be a little bit preemptive. There's the Void Prison as it comes in. So we see the disengage. And now this is going to be the follow-up. And you're going to see a lot go as soon as this pops out. Let's go ahead and put this back on full speed real quick. And as this plays out, you're going to see an Ancestral. Let's pause it right about. Let's run it slow, run it slow. There's an Ancestral that misses. Actually, let's run this a little bit further. This is where mistakes start to happen. The Ancestral misses, and that's when things really start to fall apart. And you can see 2 members fall down, and the Mosh Pit lands. Let's freeze it right now. The Mosh Pit comes in right here, and everything is just too little, too late. The Ancestral too late. The Mosh Pit too late. Let's go ahead and run it out because this actually continues to follow through. This is just such a huge fight, and we'll go ahead and continue. Let's go ahead and put this back in full speed because there's just so much action that goes on here throughout this fight. It's just unbelievable. The back and forth. There's the Ancestral that finally lands, but again, too little, too late. As you can see, the back and forth did continue. And this was the bloodbath, I think, when things really started to turn around. As you can see, 4 kills to 2 at this point in time.
I think one thing that stands out for me, and not only in that fight, but like even throughout the entire game, going through the draft, is that Sylvanas was always going to have a hard time against this comp.
Yep.
And we saw her be picked off here and there, likewise in that fight. She was the high prioritized target for a lot of these fights going in for MVP Black. If you can take the down before you get away, before the Wailing Arrow gets away, then that's perfect, that's ideal scenario. But even if it does go down and you take Sylvanas down, they don't have much more damage there.
Right.
Falstad and Thrall, you know, you saw Falstad down towards the bottom trying to zone out, but Thrall, I don't know if he's really going to do much against this comp with Karazim doing so much healing.
And we really have to highlight Zeratul in this game, I think, because not only did he land those crucial Void Prisons, but he was the bane of Sylvanas pretty much. Although they had double Haunting Wave, he was always there in time.
Yeah, he did a really good job getting harassed, not only on Sylvanas when she was isolated in picks, but then also on Falstad, like even in that team fight, forcing him to barrel roll into the chokehold, getting the Vorpal Blade to body block for a moment. It didn't work out. He actually lost his life, but it was just, he got a lot of harassment where he needed to when it came to his team. Stopping the Gust isolation and countering it with the Void, but then also great harass on to the backline.
And I think that was just so good, Jho. Why don't you go and take us to replay number 2?
I think the good thing about replay number 2, if we're going to be looking at the right one, we're going to highlight exactly what Keleres was talking about. Actually, no, this is the fight where we're going up to the top. This is, again, where things started to come in. The Sundering came out a little bit too late, but the chase, 7-sided strike came out, and of course, they're trying to stay in. As we go ahead, let's go ahead and slow it down. As we saw Rhaegar drop right there, and that was pretty much the beginning of the end. I believe this was called as the fact that there is no Ancestral for Rhaegar, way out of position, gets caught out, and the pursuit continued up in here as we continue. Sylvanas on the backside, beautiful. Beautiful Stormbolt landed there, and that's just the way these fights came out, and they tried to re-engage, and this is just an amazing, amazing part of that.
Yeah, definitely. And let's be honest, guys. I mean, we mentioned or we sort of predicted a very one-sided series, but after watching Game 1, do you actually think that Renovatio has what it takes to maybe even just get a map?
They looked better than I expected.
Right.
They lasted better than I expected, and I saw kills that I didn't expect going into the game. I think by the time MVP had 5, Renovatio actually had 2, which I expected it to be almost a clean sweep in favor of MVP. I mean, they were still very comfortable. Even like looking at the Zeratul build, we felt it was very comfortable.
Yeah.
Dread and I were talking about it before. Double bombs into rewind. It's a lot of damage. Normally, you would see something like a Rending Cleave on level 16 just to be like, I'll blink, wormhole, cleave, and then blink, wormhole back out. But he was actually doing it in reverse. He would blink, he would walk towards somebody, blink back, and then wormhole back to their position and keep those double bombs going. So very comfortable, Zera.
Something we also mentioned is, of course, that Cursed Hollow was a map where Renovatio could perform a little bit better than on other maps. But now we see that the second battleground is actually going to be Sky Temple, a map that is known to be very snowbally if you get a good early lead. So do you think things will look a little bit more one-sided on this battleground in particular, Dread?
I think so. This is one of two maps that I would consider home territory when it comes to MVP Black. They're very good on this map specifically. I feel like Cursed Hollow was, without a doubt, probably the best choice Renovatio could have had. And they did very well. They I was impressed as well when it came to decision-making and everything alike. But I think it's going to be a downhill fall when it comes to this map specifically.
I mean, we just saw Rich on Zeratul I mean, he won that game for them, I think, in a lot of ways, and he's even better on Sky Temple. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing. Is that going to be coming out here in the draft as far as a ban goes?
So it's going to be interesting to see like whether Renovatio already gave up on this and saying like, hey, well, we can't do anything against MVP Black, or if they maintain their good spirit and if they're still hungry, because we definitely saw that the potential itself is there.
I think there's such a big underdog that I feel like that performance, they had a level lead going into 10, right? Like, I think that performance, if you are as big of an underdog as Renovatio 1 is, that I think I would feel pretty good about it, honestly. But again, it's going to be a rough map for them. They do decide to go with the Falstad ban and Illidan, no surprise here. What is going to be the first pick, though? Renovatio has a lot of decisions they need to make here because MVP Black shows a lot of patterns on Sky Temple drafts.
They might go to Rehgar again.
I like this.
Oh, Greymane. Okay. Well,
Greymane a cool hero because throughout all regions, his win rates have actually been pretty top-notch. So would you say that that is a safe pick and a strong one as well?
I think all around it's great. I mean, if you get into a poke battle, he can stay on that back line. If it comes time to dive, he's an absolute terror to be able to get into that back line and really make plays happen. I think it's one of the things that we've seen with Greymane in the competitive scene lately.
Hilthos again. MVP Black has put very high prioritization on him. Even though typically they were pairing him with a Tassadar on Sky Temple, that would have been one of their more common rotations here that they've shown in the past. Muradin is now their new highest valued hero, so they're glad to be able to pick that up, even risking losing the supports that they ideally want.
Has Muradin never dropped in favor? I mean, like,
yeah.
Like, I don't mean it in that sense. Like, so MVP prioritizes it almost over every other team in the current rosters that they're actually running for it. And he's always been so good.
No, he's always been great. It's just his prioritization went from kind of like one slot lower to higher, which seems like a minor thing, but it's actually colossal when it comes to the approach to the draft because one variable like that is all it takes to shift everything else in the draft.
What do you make of the previous Muradin build, by the way, with giving the axe and healing static? Is that something we see all day? Every day?
Dread, I think we had a talk about this the last couple of days.
Yeah. I feel like a little bit that was comfort. I don't think that's something we're going to see in the future. I do think the static is going to be, it's the common in Korea actually at 13 now for Muradin. But when it comes to the DPS, I feel like double bombs rewind is also something I don't think we're gonna like. Season marksman, I feel like MVP was very comfortable, and they're like, we can just kill them, like so they built to do so.
So at the beginning of this series, mentioned that some of the highest prioritizations for Renovatio was Rehgar, ETC, Greymane, and Sonya. And right now,
they've got them.
They have some of their most comfortable choices. So if they cannot beat out MVP so far on the rest of this draft, then I don't know where else they're going to beat them.
I actually really like this ban. Not only because obviously Zeratul was a problem in the last game, but also MVP Black. This is one of the more common picks when it comes to Sky Temple. They have a lot of approaches to this map, but they go with the Uther instead, not the Karazim there. I feel like
they're worried about ETC?
Wait,
no, this is Muradin. What am I on?
Yeah, I would have really liked to see. If you're going to ban out a support in this situation, you should ban out the Karazim for sure.
Could it be a little bit of an anticipation ban against a potential lockdown with Leap and something like Falling Sword that we've seen in the European regionals every now and then?
Maybe. I mean, these regions, innovation could be something.
Greymane right there to join the fray. I mean, I think, you know, you've either pick your poisons. Divine Palm. I mean, we saw them run 7-sided strike last game, but Divine Shield obviously being the choice pick for Uth, or is that something that they're hoping they go 7-sided strike and then they can get to that back line and blow up a hero with Greymane?
Maybe. I'm kind of surprised by the Tassadar ban. Renovatio doesn't really show too many tendencies of going over towards Tassadar.
I think MVP's not worried about
They don't
adapting.
really care too
They're
much.
just what is good for us, what is good objectively in our opinion, and then removing that.
This is almost the perfect draft for Renovatio right now. Like, in terms of what I've seen from them so far, they like Li Ming right under Rehgar, Greymane, Sonya, ETC, but ETC's not there. And then if they pick up a Nubarak, they ran him once during the finals against Relics.
Right.
I think they lost that game, can't quite recall. But with a Sonya, a Nubarak Sonya as a front line, even with a Greymane there when he's actually going ham, that's actually quite a scary front line, to be honest.
They have to be very efficient with that dive, though. I do think we'll see another 7-sided strike to try and get high amount of pressure on to the front line from MVP. They still can go palm, though, if that's what they're worried about. Obviously, they don't have to, but it is something that Tempest was pretty successful with recently, and I feel like they've adapted that playstyle and actually going with the Tracer.
Ultimate Li Ming counter. What does Li Ming do against Tracer? I mean, it's so hard to go at Tracer.
Yeah.
Also, Tracer is a hero that is extremely agile, and Nubarak, who's considered to be the crowd control machine, even him will have a hard time hitting that Tracer.
Yeah. I actually really like Renovatio's draft for their comfort. It is the perfect draft for them, almost. But at the same time, it's MVP Black and they just pick Tracer. So
yeah, that's pretty hype.
So I'm a bit worried.
It's a scary prospect.
Yeah, North America just got really excited. They're like, guys, we played Tracer at our regional.
Equinox at the moment is the happiest man alive.
I think just giving Tracer room to work here, I mean, there's so many outs, I think it's wide open, but at the same time, Li Ming can do almost nothing to Tracer. I mean, it's so difficult. They're all skill shots for her.
Do you think that Renovatio has a specific counter to Tracer? Because there are a few heroes that can really counter. You need a hero that doesn't have skill shots, right? You need to have that on-point crowd control effect. Do you think Renovatio has a counter to that?
I mean, not really. They don't have a single crowd control that isn't a skill shot, and most of it is going to be time sensitive, so they should be able to dodge them in every way. And I mean, obviously, MVP has been known to be mechanically one of the better or like best teams, really, when it comes to this tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some really flashy plays from her.
Let's actually go for another quickie here on the predictions. So, Jayhow, what do you think? Who's going to come out on top here in game number 2 between Renovatio and MVP Black?
I'm not straying. MVP.
You're not changing your mind? No. All right, Dread.
It's MVP.
And James, can you get some hope here for
Likewise,
Renovatio?
not straying. I like Rev's draft, but MVP is my choice.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I still can't disagree with these guys. I mean, Renovatio, they showed us a good game 1, but good, I think, is not good enough to beat MVP Black, especially when they play on Sky Temple, as we mentioned earlier, and when they have such a solid all-around draft. Now, the casters haven't changed either, so Wolf and Kalaris, let's actually see what they've got in store for us.
Wow, Kalaris, you look really different.
I shaved. Like, the beard had to go, and when I was shaving my beard, I was like thinking about like shaving the head as well, and I was like, yeah, why not?
You went full red hair, beard to nothing in less than 2 seconds.
I wanted to go for the Hitman look, but I misplaced my red tie, unfortunately.
Well, here we go. Let's jump into game number 2 on Sky Temple. Renovatio going to be in blue here. VYY on Li Ming. It looks like stronger yet again on Rehgar. Jumpy Lion this time on the Sonya. Highskoa is going to be on Greymane and Harhar on a Nubarak.
Yeah, and to the right side of the map, of course, we have, first of all, Tracer being played. Kyoja is currently running the hero here with Thrall again on the melee assassin. We're having, Rich on the melee assassin. We're having Thrall this time. Green Jesus in the game. Sake rocking the Kel'Thas. Merry Day on Karazim. What else? And at the front line, we have Sign on Muradin. It's actually a pretty cool setup that they're running here, and I mean, seeing Tracer is of course always awesome. It's a bit of a fan favorite. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how this is going to work out for Renovatio. Dread has been touching up the subject already a bit. With a Nubarak diving in, especially a 7-sided strike on the side of Karazim would be definitely a huge risk. If they really want to go for a bit of a blow-up comp... Oh!
Speaking of blow-ups...
Yeah, speaking of a Nubarak, there he's gone already. I was during the draft even wondering if they go for an all-out battle and start a Sonya, maybe even with a leap on level 10, and start to go full dive with Greymane even on one of the squishies in the backline, like Kel'Thas, for example.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out. Oh, Jumpy Lion taking way too much damage here. And luckily for him, the shields work on that fountain now with the newest patch. So that blow up, they're not going to be a big deal. The scarier thing about the comp for Black, I think, is that Rich is on Thrall this time. So we're going to see that very, very, very scary engage where we're going to see the Sunderings come down. They also have Muradin again. And Har, you know, you and I were talking about this actually in the middle of the breaks, you know, is great in the team fights so far in the series, but sometimes getting caught out in lane, taking a lot of damage.
Like in team fights itself, his positioning is pretty decent, but oftentimes he engages a little bit too early. We saw it on the last map, especially with ETC trying to go in early on the boss, the contestation that we saw, and he had a couple of problems with that, but in the team fights themselves, he's actually doing quite well, so he has to really be on point here, because with the Nubarak, it's not going to be easy for him. When it comes to talents, by the way, just to give you guys a bit of an update, we have Force Armor on level 1 for Li Ming. It doesn't really surprise considering the lineup that they're up against here. And when we're talking about Tracer, we're not seeing Slipstream, which is of course a talent that has been highly discussed and it was nerfed in the past. They went for Pulse Strike. Tracer is going to be an absolute nightmare for Li Ming in particular.
Yeah, just always going to have her ult up all the time. Oh man, Rich versus Highsco here. Scary, scary dance without follow through yet. I guess it's just going to back off and let Highsco take control for just a moment here. But we're seeing both shrines fought over, and you know, it looks like Black is getting the better exchange of things. Rich is going to go ahead and Hearth, but Highsco coming over here, and Har does try to go for the engage, a bit too slow on it though.
Yeah, that stun didn't hit, but you could really see how Rich was standing there, he being back, and all of a sudden he was like, oops, and just trying to get out of the way. So we don't really have too many kills. We saw the one against the Nubarak a bit earlier. When it comes to Temple, it's a bit of a better situation for MVP Black here. They get the earlier level 4. This time we have Parting Gift on the side of Tracer. No big team fights yet, but keep in mind that especially the bot Temple is going to be very important later. But for now, we have a big one up at the top, and Jumpy Lion on Sonya goes down, second victim, and the third one is Greymane explodes to the damage output of MVP Black.
Those impaling blades there actually just keep everyone alive. That was how they were able to kind of escape there and run away. MVP Black basically getting a shrine and a half off of this. Only a little bit up in EXP. One of the things I want to talk about Tracer is one of the reasons why she's never seen in Kriz, because she doesn't have a place in the meta we're in right now, but one of the cool things about her, though, is that she doesn't have mana. She has ammo, of course, and so she never really has to hearth home if she's avoiding skill shots, if she's up at decent health. She never has to go home, so she can always be harassing someone, always be in a lane, because mana is just not a factor, and she's very quick, can rotate between lanes with her blink ability, you know, at great speed. So even though she's not normally seen in Asia, in fact, never has been, not even once. It's exciting to see them experiment with this a little bit here.
If you think about it, there's not too much lockdown for Renovatio. There's a Nubarak, and he's going to have a hard time really hitting those stuns against Tracer. Besides that, she has, of course, to be a bit careful of the shots of Li Ming. That shouldn't be too difficult to dodge here on the side of Kyoja. And, of course, Greymane can be a threat too. But overall, it's a very safe Tracer style they can play here. And he's getting incredibly annoying at the backline. Once again, full in here. They're contesting the camp. He jumps in, takes it, can always move away once again, and they steal the Siege Giants away. They invade, steal the Siege Giants, get the kill against the Nubarak. MVP Black. This is the dominant performance that we already expected on map number 1. They are definitely now absolutely on full fire mode. This is looking really strong.
And another terrifying thing is Rich is going to win this top lane. It's a really tough matchup for Sonya just because Rich can continuously drop his lightning down on you, and you can't really compete with that unless you can hit a lucky spear. But now they got all that top EXP pushed all the way down to the fort. And they have these giants, not the ones they stole, but their own giants pushing down this bot tower, so they're going to get that as well. So they're soaking EXP in all 3 lanes. They picked up those 2 kills. Massively ahead in structural damage, and even going to hit level 8 here in just a second.
I have to say it once again, I really hope currently, well, first of all, Nubarak going away. He has on level 4 Under King, and this is one of the reasons why I personally really hope that we are going to see a leap on Sonya. I feel if they go for an Under King, if it currently looks to me like they really intend to dive the backline. If you go Under King, you want to engage. If they engage and they don't have an immediate follow-up with like 1-2 additional heroes, then the simple thing that's going to happen is Karazim using a 7-sided strike and a Nubarak gets blown to pieces. If they really want to go for a risky play, and I feel against MVP you have to, you know, you can't play it safe. They will just like out-micro and out-manage you. So if they go for a leap, they might have a chance to blow up Kel'Thas in these situations. And we do not have a cleanse. Another strong argument in favor of leap. We actually see Echo of Heaven for Karazim on level 7.
And that's definitely a lot of flexibility you have here. Oh, VOY going to get caught yet again. Looks like he will just barely escape, and Jumpy Lion's going to try to turn this around, but Meriday is here. And this temple is usually the most important one. And already Harhar has taken a lot of the shots away from it, but he may pay the price. You look at that, rooting him before he can actually use his burrow charge and just continuing those stuns, linking them together, not allowing him to escape. And this will be a level 10 advantage for Black because they will take this shrine. They're already almost there. They're already Rich even soaking, going up to soak the mid lane. They're pushing this on the ground at the bot lane. And this is not looking good for Renovatio here in the early game.
It's definitely not. Especially Nubarak currently gets destroyed here, and that is a massive, massive problem for them. We have the spatial echo taken for Tracer, the bot temple firmly in the hands of MVP Black. They have their level 10s already, which is of course another big deal with the pulse round taken for Tracer. We actually have the Divine Palm taken this time. So with the lack of a cleanse on level 7, decided to go into the Divine Palm instead, so Nubarak can dive a little bit more safely. It's not going to be as easily isolated here. I would still prefer to see on level... Yeah, I would still prefer to see like the jump or the leap, especially with the lack of a cleanse as mentioned before.
Yeah.
They can put the pressure on Kel'Thas, but of course the Palm can be like that safety net that Karazhan really needs to save Kel'Thas if that happens.
Well, Rich going to have to use a defensive Sundering here. It looks like he's trying to bait up a rotation, and I think he will get it. Look, everyone's coming up here, and Renovatio has stayed too long, and here we go. Kyocha goes in.
Everybody there, and the immediate attempt to go for a kill against Thor, but he's not falling. Greymane instead gets annihilated. So does Sonya. They get a double kill, and Kyoja is already on the chase, trying to take Rhaegar down, and he is getting very close. Li Ming trying to save him somehow. 17 hit points. It's a kill for a kill. Tracer went in, gets blown up by Li Ming,
And
but still a trade.
That's actually the power of Seeker, which I think is kind of a weird choice versus this comp that's so mobile. It's going to be really hard to hit those twice, especially versus Tracer. But when you do, you do get the blow-up kill there.
We have Sonya with the Wrath of the Berserker. I can understand the impulse if you try to have someone beefy at the front line. I would have preferred, because of the reasons mentioned before, to see a leap. It would, of course, be high risk, high reward. But at this point, you are the underdog against MVP Black anyways, so you might as well go for it.
And this is a key thing I want to point out about how Black plays, and we've seen them do this since the very first OGN season, is just how aggressively they will bait moves like this. And look, oh, okay, we're going to see another fight here already. Harhar taking a ton of damage, does get a good group of stuns, and there's the Ancestral. He stays alive, and Rich may go down here. Beautiful Palm will keep him alive for the time being. And look, a 5-man Sundering, and here comes the Gravity Lapses, Keldor.
Oh, and once again, down goes Greymane. Kyoja playing this so well with Tracer going to the backline. The second kill against Rhaegar, following up 10 versus 1 kills right now overall, and the Nubarak is going to die too. Does try to get away, but nope. Nice dodge on the side of Tracer. Kyoja playing an amazing game here, taking down Sonya as well. Very well done. And at this point, we have Tracer on 24,000 damage. The only hero that has more is Thrall with 26k.
If I had $10 for every time if you Black baited and engaged that we're going to take the right way, I would just retire and I would just be sitting at home watching this, probably like on a beach somewhere. They will try to.
I can see it.
They try to make it look like it's a fight that they absolutely could never in a million years win, but their mechanics win them out. They have the perfect gauge. There was a 5-man Sundering followed by, I think, a 3-man Gravity Lapse. It's like, oh, well, nobody's doing anything for several seconds. You can't lose a fight like that.
They have amazing control during these team fights. Whenever the team is together with 5 heroes, they're doing extremely well. Nice bomb. Merite waiting a bit. Now finally he can dash to Muradin, who's in range. Very well done. A good save. Was at the bot lane. Sign jumps out. But in the meantime, we have Nubarak in the mid lane being attacked as well and forced back right now. They're all chasing down to the bottom at this point. The temples are about to be captured, and Sonya is on point, getting those shots for Renovatio. But MVP Black is starting to invade, and they have not only a 4-level lead, they have the talent lead too.
Yeah, they do, and they are going to go in here. Sign in perfect position, jumping line. Does get stunned by the Giant alone. And look, Sundering comes down. Already a kill on Greymane. A 3-man Sunder as well behind that. And jumping line is stuck here and isolated. Meanwhile, Meride is going in.
Yeah, there comes the heal, and very well played so far. They are still alive, but Sonya goes down now, and that's the death of a Nubarak once again. MVP Black, they are not taking any prisoners in this game. This is the dominant performance that we expected in the first map or in the first game already, and I mean, look at the discrepancy in experience here. They are about to hit level 16. That will give them a 2-talent lead against their opponent.
Very, very rarely ever happens, but we're going to see it here very likely with a few more minions dying. They're going to also secure the last shots on this bot temple and take these Giants, and they will most likely just rotate to invade the Giants of Renovatio as well. There's no way for them to deny that. Even Sake comes down from the mid lane to secure this invade. Coach is up at the front blocking because he can always recall back, and Sign going to go for the Stormbolt.
Yeah, once again, they're trying to fight here, and I mean, map control is firmly in the hands of MVP. They get another kill. You cannot fight here. Renovatio is completely misplaying this at this point. They cannot fight. They are in a situation where they are 2 talents down. There is absolutely no way that you're winning any kind of team fight. It's just not going to happen.
There's no way that even, like, there's just no way that even if they got a pick and backed off, it will ever be as like the Giants are never going to do as much damage as losing 2 people, right? So why try to fight it?
They're not even going to win a 5 versus 4. Not even if they have the numeric advantage, are they going to be able to win this. Of course, they will lose structures, but they have to just accept that. They have to sit tight, at least wait for 13. I mean, at least. You're never going to be able to suddenly fight with talent versus talent on the same level. That's not going to happen. But now they at least are only 1 talent behind. But with the 2 talent disadvantage, fighting is suicide.
And it's the boss lane as well on this map, the bot lane. They're going to get this boss for free easily. No one even walking nearby. They learned from the mistake last time trying to stop the Giants. This is the one maybe they would have wanted to fight, even though it would probably be a loss. This is the one, objective that you get on this map while the temples are offline that may even end the game if Black pushes for it. So this was the one to try to fight over, even though they probably would have lost it. But now they can't. They used, a lot of their cooldowns.
Interestingly enough, by the way, sorry to interrupt you here, we have Cannoneer taken on level 13 over the Illusionist, taken now on the side of Li Ming for the damage. We saw also a Mystical Spear and running wild right now. While the entire team is taken down here, I still have to question some level 13 talents a little bit. And I mean, we see Anubarak die again. If you don't go for a full-on dive comp, then I feel Anubarak was just the wrong choice as the main tank at the front. I mean, look at MVP. It's 22 kills against 1. They're 4 levels ahead. This is quick match for them right now. MVP Black is playing such a great game. And it's over. GG, they take it with a 2-0.
Very convincing fashion. 12-minute game, 22-1 kills. We didn't even really go deep into that last team fight because it was hopeless. And maybe some of those level 13 talents you're talking about were just kind of I think this game is over. Let's focus on the next series for Renovatio. But that was a dominant performance. We got to see some Tracer play. And one of the only wins on record now for Tracer in competitive Heroes of the Storm. Very convincing play, good rotations, and I think some of the decision-making from Renovatio was a bit desperate. We have to take this fight, maybe we can get lucky, maybe we can get a pick or 2 and turn things around, but it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it was just complete domination that we saw from MVP Black. They have the 2-0 victory that everybody expected going into this series. Renovatio on the first map actually putting up a bit of a fight. On the second one, it was just MVP Black doing their thing and really showing how strong they actually are, and they played a great game here. The draft, of course, still a bit of an issue. I personally think that Anubarak just never really had any impact on the game. But Renovatio, they knew that this would be a game that they would probably lose.
Yeah, when you go against the defending champions, MVP Black, you do kind of have to expect the worst when you go into a series like this. But we are going to jump back over to the panel to see what they think about that best of 3. Maybe in a bit longer, Keller. I thought we were jumping right over there. Looks like we're going to look at our beautiful faces first, which I don't mind.
I have to say that when we're coming to damage, Thrall still took 45k in this game, so Tracer was not really on the same level as him. She had still 35,000, which is actually like very solid in a situation like this. But overall, I feel the impact that Tracer had was absolutely fantastic, because without the lockdown available on the side of Renovatio, she was such a disrupting force in the backline that it was very difficult to just streamline an attack for Renovatio.
Yeah, definitely so. And always, Rich and Kyocha looking for those solo kills, trying to turn things around. We are going to really go to the panel this time, though, so take it away, Kendrick.
Thank you very much, Wolf, for the insights on the casting desk. And we have to be honest here. I mean, Renovatio, they put up a good fight in Game 1. In Game 2, it seemed like their defense crumbled a little bit. But guys, it's hard to evaluate this game because how fully charged up is MVP really after watching this series?
I mean, it feels like they got through game number 1, as we talked about, maybe a little bit comfortably, and they turned it on in game number 2. I mean, that was a show, Dread.
Yeah, they definitely put on a show, to say the least. They turned on their aggression. It felt like they didn't let up like they did at moments, and when it came to game number 1, maybe just, getting a little bit of the waking up early, getting used to it. Got game 1 in, it's like, all right, we can turn it on, boys.
Okay, and I think we can once again take a look at one of the highlights in the game. This time, most likely going to be in favor of MVP Black.
Yeah,
Mara, right?
most definitely in favor of MVP Black. And we're going to see right here. Let's go ahead and pause it right away. Now, right before, this is the call that they were making on screen where we saw it baited out from Thrall. We're actually going to see some action going on as it starts to take place. It's going to come over here, and let's go ahead and run this in slow-mo real quick. We're going to clear this out. But you're going to see over here on this backside, we're going to see Greymane on the left in the area where I just targeted. Let's go ahead and pause it. Keep in mind, there's also action going on up at the top right. So over here, we're going to see Greymane fall, and in that backside, we're going to go ahead and let this play. So it's going to happen on the left first. We're going to see that Pulse Bomb just kind of help secure that kill, and Mary Day going in on the backside. This is where things just were crazy. And then down at the bottom, we're going to see Rhaegar try and go, and this is one of the moments where no other hero can make this happen other than Tracer, and it just went and went and went, and we see Rhaegar continue to go down. That was just... Tracer traded there, but they got a 3-for-1, and that was just a great play there.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen clear execution from MVP Black in these team fights. At some points, I think they had a 4-level lead, which in this competitive sector isn't really that usual, but it just shows that the Asian teams, especially one of the major regions, they're definitely here to win and defend their title even. We're now actually being joined by MVP's very own Sake and the translator, of course. Glad to have you here on board. And congratulations to the first victory. And could you tell us that, or if you were surprised by Renovatio's strong game one?
어, 1경기가 저희가 조금 사리면서 상대에 대한 전략 분석을 하는 게 있어요. 그래가지고 상대가 잘한 것도 있긴 한데 저희도 저희 나름 전략이 있어서 이렇게 저희가 좀 많이 적극적으로 못했던 것 같아요.
So usually for game one, our strategy is basically to scout what the other team has. And yeah, they played pretty well, but it was kind of all part of our plan.
All right, so definitely had a plan coming into this. Many people were sort of talking about MVP's, goal or thing to actually change positions here, right? Some players were talking about role swaps, maybe just play some funky heroes because players seem to be less interested. Was that actually the case here in the games, or are you actually back to series mode?
저희가 한 6월 초 때부터 저희가 좀 게임에 대한 이런 걸 뭐라 해야 되지? 흥미를 좀 많이 잃었어요. 그래가지고 애들이 게임도 재미없어하고 막 딴 게임하고 그랬는데 요즘 다시 이제 유럽에 와가지고 많은 스크림을 통해서 이제 흥미를 다시 찾고 있고 진지하게도 하고 있고 포지션도 이제 생각은 해봤어요. 근데 생각만큼 잘 안 되더라고요. 그래가지고 저희가 이제 다시 폼이 어느 정도 이제 한 30% 정도 올라온 것 같아요. 점점 더 올라가고 있어요. 유럽에 와가지고.
So in the beginning of June, like everyone kind of lost their interest in the game.
Right.
And but then like after they got to Europe, like they've been scrimming and they're beginning to get like their interest back in the game. So like at the moment it's like 30% back, but yeah, like ever since they got to Europe,
right,
they've been like trying really hard to get.
After such performance, when we see that MVP is only back to 30%, guys, we can definitely see what 100% MVP must look like. Now, thank you very much for this interview, Sake. And we're going to take a look at the updated bracket now for Group A, of course, which was our first best of 3. We have more games coming in here. But now, of course, with the first victory under their belt, we can see MVP Black all the way at the top. And, of course, unfortunately, Renovatio won all the way at the bottom. But nothing is over yet because, as we mentioned earlier, this is a double elimination group phase, so to speak. And the next best of 3 that we're going to come up with is, of course, Negative Synergy versus Gale Force X-Team, excuse me. Very exciting to see this coming up here for sure. For now, though, we also wanted to mention that you can join the discussion. How did you like the game? Who do you think is going to take the victory in the upcoming series? Join us at the discussion at #HGC. Always the place to be during these Heroes of the Storm Summer Championships. For now, though, we're going to go into a short commercial break and we'll be back soon, guys.